I'm truly inspired doing the game Spittin Chronicles, simply because I know that today's youth really don't want to hear all that positive talk alone. They got to be able to trust you. So in order to gain that trust, you got to show them that you've been down through there, or you got to be able to talk that talk. So we going to talk that shit, and at the same time, we're going to show them that change is possible, but it's all up to you. The choice is yours.
You got your boy Red in this joint, you hear me? And I got another special guest in the building, all the way from Long Beach, California, Mr. Vinnie Mac. You hear me?
What it do, what's fam? Going on, my player partner Red, man? What it is, man? You know what I'm talking about? I'm coming from Long Beach, Strong Beach, man. You know what I mean? Home of Snoop Dogg, Warren G, the East Side, and some more, man. You know what I'm talking about? It's my pleasure to really be here, man. You know what I'm talking from Long Beach to Memphis, man. You know what I'm talking about? We finna put it down in the ground, man, and tell you what is really going on. You know what I'm saying, man? It's my pleasure to be here, Red. You dig? Yeah.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you coming through, man. But look, before we go all the way in, man, I heard about you in the hospital, man. How things going these days?
Man, you know, Red, thanks for asking. I've been on several podcasts and never took the time out to ask, and I really appreciate it, brother. It was really a freak accident, man. You know what I'm saying? When I was on vacation with a stipulation, I had to have a defibrillator put in my chest. So they did it when I was away. So when I got home, it just, after about 3 years, it just started going off in my chest, man, just shocking me while I was alive. It was really, really traumatic, man. You know, I went to the hospital. They took me into emergency surgery. You know, I actually got it documented on I got a podcast called Pimps Corner. I had to document it on there. So it was a real traumatic event. But I tell you, the good thing about that, Red, when I got done, the surgeon put the device in the bag. And you know what he told me, Red? Say, call you a lawyer, man, because that was never supposed to happen to you. You dig what I'm saying?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Like yes, sir. Yeah, I'm glad you're here, bro. I'm glad you're here, man. By the grace of God, you hear me?
By the grace of God, man. By the grace of God. Yeah.
Long Beach, California, man. Look, tell the people what it was like in your era, and then transition over and let us know how you got in the game.
All right. Yeah, you know, I grew up as a nickel and dime hustler in the streets of Long Beach, man. You know what I'm saying? I was fortunate enough that my family owned a market in the neighborhood. And that's why I was really popular in the neighborhood, because my brother-in-law had a store, and my sister, she was real fine. She was a red bone. She had a store, and I lived with her. So when I was 13 years old, I had a lowrider 6'3" Chevy on, had the wheels on and everything. I worked in the store, but my brother-in-law was tight. So he told me, look here, man, I know you sell weed. I'm gonna buy you a kilo of weed, and you can sell the weed in the store, but you have to work for free. That worked out just fine for me. So every time when people would come to the store, I would just put a little weed in the bag. So, you know, we was like real popular around there, man. I stayed suited and booted as a young man. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like I said, at the low, you know what I mean? I grew up as what we call a black lord. A black lord transitioned to 21st Street Gangsters. 21st Street Gangsters transitioned to Long Beach Crips. And then they broke off into Insane Crips and Rolling 20 Crips. So that's my history as a child coming up. So later on, when I was like 17 years old, I was having my first baby. So I went on the Job Corps. And when I was on my flight in Job Corps, I met a brother named AD. I said, hey, we kind of looked alike. We had a slacks on, we had perms in our hair. We looked sharp. We had the Stacey Adams on. You know what I mean? I said, damn, he looks like me. So I pull over on the plane when we get up in the air. I pull up, say, what's happening, man? So we introduced ourselves. He said, yeah, man, what's up? I'm AD the Pimp, man. I said, hey, man, I don't know really much about the pimp stuff. My name is Vinnie Mac. I sell weed, man. You know what I'm saying? I said, if you think you can teach me a little about that pimping, I'll teach you a little bit about selling weed. He said, yeah. He said, man, you know, if it ain't snowing, it ain't going, man. Only solution is prostitution, man. You know what I'm talking about? So he popped it at me. So I said, man, this dude here real cool. And so when we got in, I was headed to declare for Utah to Job Corps. So when I get to Job Corps, he gave me these books, Iceberg Slim and Donald Goin. You know what I mean? So I read the books, but I'm thinking, man, this is some bullshit. I don't believe it, man. There ain't no way where you gonna talk to a broad like that. She gonna call you daddy and give you all your money. I'm just a hip square. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know nothing really about no game. So after that, when I was gone, me and my baby's mama broke up. So when I got back, I got me a little square job, you know what I mean? I started working. But in the back of my mind, after we broke up, I said, you know what? I'm gonna get this pimp shit a try. So I stayed going on. But my mother, I told my mother I wanted to be in the game. So she told me, I got a friend, his name is Mac. He used to be a pimp, but he'd been to prison. Mac had 9 racehorses, 9 hoes, 9 homes, and 9 kilos. You know what I'm saying? He was doing a little cheat, you know what I mean? So he used to go, and I used to go in the shop and he'd do my hair. You know, he'd lace me up and sit me in a chair and tell me this and tell me that. You know what I'm talking about? Matter of fact, Mac bought me my first tailor-made suit, man. He bought me tailor-made and took a look and it had put my name in it. You know, like I was destined for the game, right? So one day he did my hair and I said, hey, Mac, you know, I think I'm ready now, right? I gave my mom $1,000 because I was too young to buy my own car. So I had to get payment. So I was so young. So I had to get a co-signer. She said, yeah, I'll co-sign for it. I'll tell you what, because you're going to pay for that motherfucking car. That's what she is going to do. Until you finna be a pimp. But I'll tell you what, pimp, you're going to keep that job and then you pay for that car. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I really got started in the game. You know what I mean? Like that. That was my first introduction to the game. And then once I got into the game, you know, I was really quiet because I was learning. But my first broad name was Sherry. And I seen Sherry on the track on PCH, I call it Pimp Catching Hoes, which is PCH in Long Beach. So that's where the host stroll is at there. So when I was driving down the track, I see her and I pull over. You remember we owned the store. So she used to come to the store all the time because she lived down the block. So she liked me since then. So I pulled over and lo and behold, she walked around the corner, man. I said, wow. She said, hey, what's going on? You sure looking good. Look at you looking like a pimp. She said, where your hoes at? I said, I'm talking to her. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, I'm talking to her, baby. You know what I mean? Right. So she said, she laughed. She said, you know what? Me and my other 2 friends, it's kind of slow down here. We'll pay you if you give us a ride to another track. I'm thinking, sure. She said, go around and come back in 5 minutes and pick us up. I pull off. I'm grilling from ear to ear, man. I'm square as a bear, man. You know what I'm saying? So I go to the store, give me some Hennessy, and then give me something to roll me up a little weed, right? I said, man, this pimp shit is easy, man. I'm gonna be 3 deep already, man. You know what I mean? So they pay me $40 a piece. I take them to the track. So when I come back and drop them off, Sherry stay in the car with me. I get the other 2 bras off first. So she said, she said, well, come on in my house. Let me tell you something. She said, you know, the other girls was calling you a cab driver. Said, you a cab driver. Said, you ain't no pimp. You ain't got a pimp bone in you. Because if he said, if you were pimping, he'd have broke us. And he didn't. So he ain't no pimp. So she said, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to choose you. And when she went and took a shower, she came out and she handed me the rest of her money. It was about, I think, $280, $340 or something like that. And said, here. And I'm going to give you my money. I'm going to be your hoe. But she said, from now on, if a bitch get in your car, if she don't choose you, break her. Tell you, bitch, you out of pocket, you need to break yourself, right? And she said, I'm gonna call you daddy out of sign of respect. And every other hoe you have going forward should call you daddy out of respect for the game. So that's how I first got my feet wet in the game. But let me tell you, back to during that era, man, pimps wore tailor-made clothes, the big jewelry, you know what I'm talking about? They stayed fly. You know, you couldn't tell if we look like businessmen or we look like singers or, you know, we pimps dressed like stars back then. You know what I'm talking about? Everybody was well polished, you know what I'm saying? Because during that time, when the police seen you was black and you was suited and booted, stayed fly, they wasn't finna fuck with you because they really didn't know who you was. You know what I'm saying? So that's the way we came up back in the days back then. So as I advanced on, I started going. AD came to the restaurant where I worked at because Sherry ended up going to jail because she had a prior case, which is in my book, by the way. Let me go ahead and plug it. Which is American Pimps and Vinnie Mac story. It's all the details is in the book. You dig what I'm saying? And by the way, the book is on all platforms. Yeah, man. So it's American Pimps and Vinnie Mac story.
Put it up a little closer to the screen.
Yeah, man. Can y'all get man? Yeah, American Pimps and Vinnie Mac story. It's all in here, man. You know what I'm talking about? I got a publishing deal as soon as I came home from vacation with a stipulation, man. 10 white folks sit around the table and say, man, we gonna give this black pimp a deal. So it must be a pretty good book. And it's on all platforms, Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and every other book platform you can think of. But let me get back to the story, player. So coming back coming into the restaurant where I worked at. So he said, yeah, I said, what's up? He said, man, you know, I'm just pimping, whoop, whoop, whoop. He said, my hoe went to jail, man. She down at the courthouse down on Ocean Boulevard. That's where my restaurant was at. So make a long story short, Sherry ended up going to jail. So about 2 more months, I'm steady working, saving my money, paying for my car like my mama told me. So I go back on, I said, I'm gonna go out again. The next time I go out, I meet 2 bras. And I see him down my cat like clean now. It's only about my cat like ain't but like 4 or 5 years old. I damn near got a new joint. You know what I'm talking about? I got a little square job at the time. So I ended up knocking my next 2 broads. And after that, man, I never looked back, Pete. I just never looked back. We started going to Hollywood. And let me go and say this year, that's where I ran into some Memphis royalty named Dog Baby. You understand what I'm saying? I met CC. He was out of Oklahoma. A real good pimp, man. You know what I'm talking about? And so of course, I know Memphis Rob, I know Memphis Keith, you know what I mean? Pimpin' Country, you know what I'm talking about? Big Memphis, just to name a few. Hey, man, I'm gonna tell you something about Memphis pimp. Memphis pimps Memphis them bred some of the best pimps in the world, man. And I'm from Long Beach. I'm just gonna keep it real for you, man. That Memphis got some pimping up in there, man. For real, man. They put it down for the real, man. For real, man. Stone down with it, man. You know? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. I love
you sure you know what? You know what? You sure hitting it on the head right now, man. You hitting it on the head right now. Let me ask you something. I'm gonna go back just a hair, man. You talking about like the way y'all dress, you know, the fashion, you know, this, you know, that smooth shit, right?
Yeah.
So what the hell happened, man? You know what I'm saying? Like going from, man, gaiters and suits and furs to t-shirts and tennis shoes, man. What happened?
Let me tell you what happened. This is what I've seen happen in the game, Blair. As we start progressing in the game, and some of the youngsters got in the game, they see when I got in the game, I got up under some good game. I got up under a veteran pimp. It's like, let me put it this way, Blair. If you've gone to college, if you go to college, you got to have a professor to teach you the courses, right? All these youngsters, they want to go to college and they don't want to be the professor. They want to run the class themselves. But guess what? They don't get the schooling of the game they're supposed to have in the game. You know what I'm saying? And nowadays, these broads, you got to remember, every nigga that receives money from a hoe ain't no pimp, man. Let me just go and put that out there. You know what I'm talking about? And it makes it like this here. And these hoes is choosing these gangbangers and drug dealers and suckers and busters and turning them into what they call pimps, but they really ain't no pimps. You know what I'm talking about? Pimps is real smooth, man. You know what I mean? And let me say, I want to say this also. Pimping is a job title. We all men first. So if you was a abuser, a gangbanger, you was mean to women when you came in the game, that's the type of person you're gonna be when you got in the game. And when the broads is choosing them niggas with t-shirts on, their pants sagging and all that, they bringing them to the game. We always shied away. Matter of fact, pimping was like a secret society. We didn't even allow that kind of stuff around us, you know, because normally when we were wearing all that gear and shit, like pimps really don't carry guns and nothing like that. You know, it's a non-contact sport. So we kept it like a secret tight society, and we only let real niggas up around us, man. You know what I'm talking about? But today's game is, they got so many drugs in the game. They got, it's banging. And let me tell you something about this when I'm talking about how to transition to this game banging type of situation. Now, when you come in, we got a track out here in LA called Figueroa. It's one of the biggest tracks out here. You know, out here in California right now, they have, there's no loitering for prostitution no more. So it's almost legal out here. So y'all telling me, you see 100 butt-naked girls on the daily, on the blade, right? But now when you look around, you see all these gangbangers. They got the t-shirts, like you said, sagging and dragging on the ground. You understand what I'm saying? But you got to remember, the women are choosing their pimps. You understand? Or what they want to portray to be a pimp. So they taking the average Joe Blow and turning them into boyfriend, into pimps and stuff like that. They never learned your culture because they'll see a real player, a real nigga like you, right? Oh, gee, what's happening, man? But they don't want to listen to nothing you got to say, man. You know what I'm talking about? When we came up, I listened for 5 years. They said, oh, that's Vinnie Mac. He's so quiet, man. You know why? I couldn't take a pencil and paper and write it down, but I was soaking up all the game, man. You know what I'm talking about? That's how you learn, man. But you got to have, if you want to be successful in it, you got to get up on a veteran PI, man, and really listen to the instructions that he's going to give you, because he's not going to steer you wrong. You dig what I'm saying, man? So that's how the game turned around today. They was jumping in the game so fast, and they was just, gang banging or doing whatever they was doing, the thieves and robbers when they jumped in the game. So they never learned nothing. So it was like they was getting homeschooled by themselves. You know what I'm saying? But no computer, nothing. They could sit about just thinking about what they wanted to do. The great thing I do it was going buck wild with it. That's how the game changed, man. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I got you, man. I can do that, man. From watching like different interviews of you, man, I can really feel your energy, man, that you're a good, sincere person at heart, you know.
Yeah.
And I really feel that. And one thing I notice about you is that you mention God somewhat regularly, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
oh, yeah.
That's interesting to me, man. That's interesting because, you know, some people might say, well, Vinnie Mac's a hypocrite for bringing up God in such an immoral type of lifestyle, man. What's your thoughts on that?
Man, I'm so glad you asked about this. See, this is the big secret. God is a before and after. Let me tell you something. I could have been born 2,000 years ago, and you could have been born 1,000 years from now. But God got us here and now for a reason. You know what I'm saying, man? So this is what it is. I was actually raised in church, right? I was raised in church. So I've always had morals to myself. But you got to remember one thing. God knows what you're doing before you do it. If you got some girls and you know they got the most dirtiest, dangerous job in the world, and you believe in God, why wouldn't you pray for them? You want to pray for their safety. You want to pray that they make it back home safe. Man, I should pray for my girls. I stayed 6, 7 deep. I put us in a prayer circle and hold hands, man, and pray for my girls to have a safe return home, man. You understand what I'm saying? And one thing, and let me tell you something else, Pete. The misconception is we don't love no hoes, which is a bunch of bullshit. Because if you got a woman to go out there and risk her life every day and come back and give you all her money and you don't love her, you got a hole in your soul, man. So it all leads back to God. God knows what you're doing before you're going to do it anyway. So why the big conception is, no, I'm pimping, so God don't like me. No, if you looked at the Bible, Jesus went to the poor, they turn people in the Bible from murderers, thugs, robbers. Those are the ones that Jesus fellowship with in the first place. Those are God's chosen people that he chose to change their life. So it's no different than today. Pimps and preachers run hand in hand, by the way, anyway. So, a lot of people say, yeah, but how could you do that, man? You said you're praying for your girl, before they go get your money. Yeah, because I'm not fooled. I'm wide awake and my eyes are wide open, man. And I know God is watching everything I do. So why wouldn't I pray? Is the question. You did?
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, man. I know some people out here, man. They gonna hear your story. They're gonna listen to you, and they're gonna be like, oh, you know how it go, man. You know how it go.
Man, yeah.
I got another question for you, Brother Mac. I got another good question for you, man. Look, okay, looking at you, you remind, because I'm from Memphis. I'm like from the Bible Belt, right?
Right.
And you look like every other day preacher in my neighborhood. Man, what's the difference between the average pastor and a pimp, man?
Well, you know what? Pimps and preachers run hand in hand. Because I have the church I go to right now, my name is Vinnie Mac, and my partner name is Speedy Mac. Speedy Mac was in the game with me, man, but he was going back and forth in and out of prison, He ended up doing about 27 years. But God actually called that man in prison, man. That man used to have a stuttering problem player. Right now, he runs one of the most successful churches in Long Beach. You understand what I'm saying? Because he reached back, he get all the people who've been to prison, all the dope fiends, our church full of hoes, full of pimps, full of drug dealers, and some murderers. He reached back and get all the type of people and bring those in. You know what I'm saying? So our type of dress, when I came in the game, we always stayed suited and booted, man. I got some Versace and all that, some Fendi and some all the good stuff in my closet, my sweatsuits and all that. But when I'm down around and I'm representing this shit here, you can always try to see me like this here, man, because this is just the way it goes. So, people get it misconstrued. Yeah, man, you got your church suit on all that. Yeah, I do wear this to church. I certainly do. And this is my uniform also. You dig what I'm saying? Now, and a lot of things about that, nigga don't know. And you get so much respect when you game. And I tell you what, hey, the women like it too, man. You know, some of the school to dress down on the other like you want to sometimes. When you suit in the suit, it's a prominence about yourself. You know, it's a feel good, man. You know what I'm talking about? You look so trustworthy, man. You can step in anywhere, man. You know what I'm talking about? When you sagging and dragging, go in the Beverly Hills Hotel, see how fast they turn you around. You need to get around there. I think you might be lost. You know what I'm talking about? Real talk. So it opens up so many doors when you come in here like this here, man. You did?
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I can dig that because when I throw on my, my dressy type shit, man, I get a totally different response. You
Totally
feel
different
me?
vibe, baby.
Yeah, totally different response, man. Look, I gotta ask you something, man. Look, we gotta go here. I got a good question for you, man. It's about this gorilla people, man. Let me ask you something. Man, I gotta get man, look, I gotta ask you this because I already know where you stand with gorilla people. But I gotta ask you to check this out.
Right.
So stated that is giving the game a black eye, and I agree. I agree with that. You know what I'm saying? I know you said that because I heard you say that, and I've seen that, or even around my city. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But traditionally, Brother Mac, whooping ass gets results. Let me give you an example. Think about our ancestors. They got their ass whooped, right? They produce results.
Right.
Police kick ass, right? Gangbangers, they've been kicking ass for decades. So what I'm saying is, with that being said, with your approach to nonviolence, how are you gonna get a hard-headed, back talking, street walking, funky cock heifer to listen to you and keep her in check?
Well, you know what it is, man. Let me tell you something right now, because I done been through the highs and the lows. You dig what I'm saying? But I know one thing: pimping is a non-contact sport, right? You know what I'm talking about? When you actually put your hands on the bitch, you done turn into a prize fighter, man. You done lost your pimping. When you got to jump on your bra, you done lost your pimping because pimping is a mental game. And when your bra forced you to put your hands on it, she done took you out of your game. Because when you knocked her, you wasn't beating up. When you knocked her, you was macking to her, you talking smooth to her. You didn't take her and slap her down and say, yeah, bitch, you need to choose up. That ain't the way you got it, man. The way you start is the way you finish. And I'm gonna tell you something about that I really don't like, because it done put a disdain in the game. And that's how the feds have got in there and got into this, they're kidnapping women, they're beating women, they're torturing women, they put them in cages, they're forcing them to do this, which is so far from the truth. In some small instances, you have those type of people in the game, but that guerrilla pimping, even though, like you say, beating leads to results, but I scream my bras pretty good. And I'll tell you something else, Pete. If I find out that you're hard and guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna pimp you away. I'm gonna keep you down around on the blade until you decide to run off, man. Because guess what? I don't need the headache, man. Because I'm gonna tell you something else, Peter. A lot of people don't want to address this. When you start off like that, you get used to beating your women. You can't beat every woman. Let me ask you a question, Pete. Let me put it out there so we talk about this here. If I had a bra and she took and slapped me around and beat me and then went to bed, she probably ain't gonna wake up. You know what I'm saying? So when you beating on bras like that, every woman is different, man. It's a lot of women in jail for killing pimps. You know what I'm saying? You get so gung ho, and then you can slap one bitch one time, and she have 1,000 police at your house. Because you done got so used to gorilla bras, treating them mean, and like this there, every woman don't like to be hit or touched like that, period. You can holler at the bitch too. Nowadays, you get your case, you know what I'm talking about? Then you're going to get sex trafficking, human trafficking, and all this A, B, C, and D, and get you 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years, life, triple life. You know what I'm saying? 400 years. You've seen the horrible stories about the pimping and what then they got. And most of the time, the pimps like that, guess what they're in there for? Beating the bitch up, kidnapping the bitch, burning the bitch, torturing the bitch, and forcing the bitch to work. So that gorilla pimping, that's going to be your end result, man.
Did those words define you? Every man chooses his own destiny. The choice is yours, motherfucker. I don't give a fuck. I'm just talking shit and swallowing spit. It's up to you to play the game or get played by it.